So this scientist would like to have gone missing this morning. U.S. scientists have died or gone missing. Have you seen that? So there's all kinds of articles, and there's just a couple of them. But I would like to assure you that I'm not one of the 10 scientists that have been gone missing or have died. That should be obvious. So I was thinking about what to teach this Sunday, and I had some idea. I knew there was files on my computer, and I spent 10 or 15 minutes looking for those files, what I wanted to teach this week. And I couldn't find it, so finally I went to Gemini, and that's me when I'm older. You see pictures, here's a picture of me when I was younger. I want to see a picture of you when you're older. That doesn't make, so there I am, older. What's the name of the book that discusses the suitability of everything on Earth? Air, water, poles, magnetic field, written by the Heritage Foundation. And by the way, the AI doesn't care about your grammar. Your English teacher did, but the AI doesn't. They usually figure it out. And the way AI answers, they give you this, and they give you this, and they give you this, and finally you go, now that's a really good video, but this is merely a book, just a book. Talks about the suitability of oxygen for the human body, transport cycle, and so on. And then again, they like to give you wordy answers. And finally, I saw it, Nature's Destiny, and then I was able to go to my computer and find the files. So that was good. And then he goes on and 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 on. I go, well, that's it, thanks. You know, it's the way you respond to it. So, and again, okay, so are we going to have sound today? Do we have sound?
RNA, the deadliest of the stem loop structures. Oh, don't worry, it's not an airborne strain.
Excuse me, how long have you been studying the Ebola virus?
Well, I'm not actually a scientist, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
So that was a series of commercials several years ago, and you probably already saw it. So I thought about doing the suitability of oxygen based on the Heritage Foundation book that I had checked out from the library. And so I'm on the elliptical on Monday and bicycle, I alternate, and then I lift, a little bit of that. And I saw a video and I thought, that is absolutely perfect for a Sunday school lesson. So I changed it slightly. Oxygen and the body. Oxygen and the body. So just a word about this video, okay? I had to do some editing, and I asked my wife, I go, and she says, yeah, cut that out. So I've edited, added things instead of, so let's see what happens here.
The human body. Nothing we know of is as complex or finely tuned. How did humans reach this level of sophistication? The generally accepted explanation rules out a design or a designer. This series will challenge that assumption and will ask the hard questions about human development. In this episode, we'll look at how our bodies must overcome a life and death challenge from the unique perspective of an engineer and a physician. Dr. Howard Glicksman has been a medical practitioner for more than 45 years. He's an author and a speaker with a special expertise in why human systems succeed and why they fail. Steve Loftman is a systems architect with more than 45 years of experience designing enterprise-class systems of the highest complexity. He also leads a research group exploring the exquisite engineering found in living systems.
Whether it's a smartphone or a spacecraft, engineers know how to build amazingly complex systems, and we've all benefited. But it's become clear to me that nothing we've ever made comes close to the elaborate engineering found in our own bodies.
And as a doctor, I can tell you that engineering is undeniable. And that's from the whole body all the way down to the molecular machinery in our cells. But think about this. On a race car, just one tiny problem among its thousands of parts can cause a colossal failure. In the same way, our bodies have not thousands, but billions of parts that are incredibly fine-tuned. And the truth is that any one of a billion things could go wrong, any one of which could end your life.
One of the most serious ways your body can go wrong is not getting enough oxygen. Oxygen is essential for life. But as we'll see, to harness its power, your body requires astonishing engineering.
Starting at the most basic level, our primary human need is energy.
Let's pause there for a second. Go back to, see, I am a chemist. That was what my degree was in. So oxygen in the body. What is it about oxygen? Oxygen is a simple diatomic molecule, O2. You need it. I need it. Every living organism needs it. In fact, every cell, every living cell needs oxygen. So here's a model of it. What are the red things? What are they called? They're in the center. They're in the nucleus, and so they would be, there are 4 basic particles. Do you know what they are? Protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons.
Dan, before we go any further, you said every
Living cell
needs oxygen.
needs,
Are you talking about plant life as well?
absolutely, yes. Even though they produce it, they need it. And then those blue things must be electrons, and this is a model, and it's not even close to really where it is. If you had a hydrogen nucleus here, the electron would be a mile away. The simplest element, hydrogen. So here's some of the properties of oxygen. The chemical symbol, the atomic number, and so on and so forth. But it is absolutely perfect. Do you realize if oxygen absorbed light at different wavelengths, plants could not grow? But it allows that wavelength of light to come through? Oxygen is perfect in that sense. That was the direction I was going to go with the lesson, but I decided not to go there. And then the slightly soluble, that's something we're going to cover a little bit later. Okay? So let's go back to our video. And this is where I didn't know if it was going to work. Having a video and showing different things, and stopping and going.
And our cells are the power plants of the body. Within your cells are these high-performance turbine engines called ATP synthase. They make the energy packets that drive pretty much everything in our bodies. And there's upwards of 1 million of these in every cell.
They are very impressive machines, and they run continuously without a break.
Well, they have to for the cell to survive, which raises an important issue. ATP synthase can't do its job without oxygen.
Oxygen is required. Plants and animals both. Each cell has ATP, ADP, and synthase. All right, let's take a look at that. Do you remember what that was? You were in my class several months ago. What is that? That is the mitochondrion And I remember this from when I was in freshman chemistry, or freshman biology in high school, and that would have been last millennium. That was a long time ago. We were told, simply told, the mitochondrion is the power plant of the cell. We didn't know anything about the mechanisms going on, but that's what we knew. All right? I'm going to jump ahead because this is about a 5-minute video. It's got some cool music. And each cell has their own music.
Without this fuel, your cells will cease operation, and so will you. ATP synthase works like a rotary engine. The barrel-shaped rotator is composed of 10 to 15 protein parts called subunits. The rotator spins around, transmitting mechanical energy into the drive shaft of the machine, which helps make ATP. This drive shaft has a specially placed bump that opens and closes parts as the drive shaft spins around. This bump opens special protein subunits on the bottom of the machine.
Incredible. The human body, the average human body has, do you know how many cells? I remember this because it's the same as the national debt. Somewhere between 35 and 40 trillion cells in the body, every one of them having ATP, ADP, and ATP synthase. Just by accident, over millions of years, right? So as a chemist, I look at this adenine triphosphate. Here's the adenine over here. Here's the triphosphate, 1, 2, 3. And this is a high energy bond. ATP is the currency of the cell. Like the currency in America is the dollar, right? So far it is. It's probably going to change. It used to be the gold. So ATP goes to ADP and back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's a recyclable molecule. So I love that kind of stuff because that's chemistry. Yeah, that's cool. So we're dealing with, different problems, how they need to be solved. By the way, the little joke about each cell has its own music. I borrow all my stuff. I don't make this stuff up. One of my students from high school got a PhD. He sent that to me in an email. He says it's amazing how all those cells have that beautiful symphonic music. So let me see if I can start this again.
And it needs a continuous supply. But our bodies can't store oxygen.
Our bodies can store plenty of water and fat, but not oxygen. That's a problem because we have more than 30 trillion cells to oxygenate. Without an uninterrupted supply of oxygen, the energy turbines inside our cells will fail, and so will we. To keep us alive, we need to deliver oxygen to every single cell, every single minute of our lives.
And really, this is a much more elaborate problem than one might think. So let's take it on with an engineering perspective. Our main problem is every cell needs oxygen, but that brings up two more problems. First, most cells are in the interior of the body with no direct access to the air. And the second is that the demand for oxygen changes rapidly. So to solve these two problems, we need to solve four more problems. We need to get enough oxygen into the body. We need to absorb enough oxygen into the blood, deliver that oxygen in sufficient quantities throughout the body, and then regulate the oxygen delivery for rapidly changing local needs. So you can see there's a whole cascade of problems taking shape. And as we'll see in a little bit, it's a really long cascade.
And every one of them requires one or several solutions to keep you alive.
Now for a closer look at some of these engineering problems faced by the body. First up, how does the body solve the problem of getting oxygen into the blood?
So we obviously start with the lungs. They pull in air, which consists of about 21% oxygen, or O2. The heart sends blood to the lungs to pick up a fresh supply of oxygen. But how does the oxygen actually get into the blood? It's through the process of diffusion. The O2 molecules pass through these two thin membranes. There's a limit to how many can pass per second, but our body requires a minimum of 100 million trillion O2 molecules per second. At this rate, we'll never get the oxygen we need. A larger surface area will allow more oxygen in. But how much more area do we need? About this much, half of a tennis court. So there's an obvious problem. Our lungs are this size. To match that surface area, they need to be something like this size. How do we make that work? Well, instead of giant air sacs, we use super tiny air sacs.
Stop for a second and go back to the PowerPoint. So getting sufficient oxygen into the blood, we have lungs. And sometimes the lungs need to be cleaned out. And one of the best ways you can clean out the lungs is to stop smoking. And we've had several people in our lives who have stopped. And within a few years, their lungs are back to good. And then the heart. I mean, oxygen comes in through the lungs, and the alveoli transport it to the bloodstream, but the bloodstream has to be moving. So, and of course, make the lungs great again. Our bodies require, now I'm a simple person. I look at that number and I go, that's not our bank account. So, our bodies require this number of oxygen molecules per second. That's an incredible amount. So I looked it up. So here's 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion, 1 quadrillion, 100 quintillion molecules per second. I'm not going to worry about the British names there. All right? So scientists write it in scientific notation. 1 times 10 to the 20th. Okay. Again, being a simple person, I need to kind of understand things.
About 300 million tiny air sacs in each lung. They're called alveoli. They're surrounded by hundreds of capillaries. So the total surface area of the many alveoli meets the requirements for enough oxygen to pass from the lungs to the circulation. Problem solved. And here's what it looks like.
Millions of microscopic airbags increase the surface area and fit it into a much smaller space. This is brilliant engineering and brilliant packaging. And now the oxygen is in the bloodstream.
But now we have a problem that's even harder.
Oxygen molecules don't dissolve well in water, which is the fluid component of blood. This poor solubility means not enough oxygen can be transported in the circulation, and the bloodstream can't deliver enough oxygen to the cells.
So, being a chemist and having studied gas laws, where am I at? I think there, okay. So oxygen molecules don't dissolve well in water. You're going, as a chemist, how soluble is oxygen in water? When I taught high school chemistry, we would do 5 labs when we studied the gas laws. 5 labs. It'd take about 3 or 4 weeks to go through that chapter. So, water is about, or oxygen is 8.24 milligrams per liter. Some of you have some idea of a milligram because you've taken pills before. So, what's that a picture of? These things are going to be on your test, okay? So, what's that a picture of? An artery, and it's delivering what to the body? Blood cells, red blood cells. And the red blood cells have in them hemoglobin. I looked this up. It says a molecule. That represents 40 or 50 carbons, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. That's not a molecule. That is a supermolecule, which just evolved over time. No, designed by a super intelligent creator beyond the scope of what we understand. Way, way, way beyond. So, that's the hemoglobin molecule. Again, I was thinking about this. So Adam is created, he's running through the garden, and he cuts himself on something, and he bleeds to death. And God goes, I should have put something in there to cause the blood to coagulate. Okay, Adam 2.0. No, God designed all this stuff from the beginning.
So we need a transport solution for oxygen that can reliably reach each one of those trillions of cells.
And the solution to this one is in your bones. Here inside your bone marrow is a factory. It's where red blood cells are made. Manufactured within each blood cell are these incredible transporters called hemoglobin. Each one can onboard up to 4 molecules of oxygen.
It's like a micro 4-seater Jeep.
Yeah, ready to roll and deliver the oxygen. Each of these red blood cells has about 270 million hemoglobin molecules. And that means one red blood cell can carry a cargo of over 1 billion oxygen molecules to the tissues. So now, each one of our 20+ trillion red blood cells is equipped to carry oxygen to every part of your body.
But there is yet another challenge that has to be overcome. To carry oxygen, the hemoglobin in your red blood cells requires iron. The problem is that iron is toxic to the body, but hemoglobin can't be produced without it. So this calls for a supply chain that regulates a hazardous material.
See, as a chemist, when you hear things like that, you go, iron. I deal with iron all the time. The hardest one to hit is that 4 iron. Okay, forget it. And as you age, thank you. And as you age, it gets more and more difficult to hit those long irons. Iron is toxic to the body. You go, how toxic is it? Because my doctor tells me to take iron, right? Well, let me give you some guidelines here. Here's the dose of elemental iron, and here's the effect in humans. Less than 20 milligrams per kilogram body weight. Kilogram is about 2 pounds. Usually mild GI upset, nausea, stomach pain. Okay, that usually happens about 15 minutes into my class among my students. 20 to 60 milligrams, moderate toxicity, vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy. That happens after about 30 minutes in my class. 60 milligrams per kilogram, severe life-threatening. That will require an ambulance in my class. 180 to 300 milligrams. This is potentially fatal. Almost the same as buying sushi at the gas station. So the typical aspirin tablet is about 325 milligrams. Now, we'll go back to the video, I hope. Isn't technology cool when it works? When it doesn't work, it's horrible.
This one is tricky, and to solve it, we need our digestive system. The liver is what monitors the iron we digest. And this is critical because if you can't regulate iron, you're dead. So the liver is in constant communication with the small intestine.
The liver. Are you seeing that everything is necessary? You say, all I need on my car is a carburetor, a big 4-barrel. You need more than a carburetor. You need all the parts of the car, right? You need all the parts of the human being to be functioning. The reason the lung hits me the liver, is because I showed this in my class when I taught high school chemistry. These are the reactions, chemical reactions in the liver. Just the liver, just one organ in your body. Look at it. It's incredible. And when you zoom in and zoom even further, ATP, ADP, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just in one little section of that entire chart, and sometimes off the chart. I think I'm hitting ones that are off the chart right now. And let me bring it down. Each of these ADP, ATP chemical reactions, all over the place. Incredible. And here's, Roche is a pharmaceutical company. They have the biochemical pathways wall chart. And I'm not going to zoom in on this. I'm just going to point this out. This is incredible. This is so complex. And I'll bet if I was able to magnify that, there'd be ADP, ATP all over the place. Just absolutely so far beyond, I can barely understand parts of it. And I consider myself to be fairly well educated.
It tells the intestinal cells how much iron to put into the blood. It can't be too much or too little. The liver also makes a transport protein called transferrin. Its job is to safely transport iron in your blood so it can't interact with any other parts of your body. Transferrin delivers it to the bone marrow, where the iron is used in making hemoglobin. This coordinated system controls the supply and delivery of iron while avoiding any toxic damage.
So we've cleared a lot of hurdles, and now the oxygen is being delivered to every cell. ATP synthase is churning away, and our cells have what they need to do their jobs.
Yeah, but we're going to need a lot more engineering to keep us alive. There's another extremely challenging problem. The body's energy needs are always changing. For example, when you suddenly realize you're going to be late to catch a bus, there's an immediate need for extra oxygen in your leg muscles. A burst of speed requires quick energy.
This problem is especially tough because it requires an extremely rapid response.
And we need yet another system to solve it, the cardiovascular system. When the body increases its level of activity, the brain sends a neural hormone that makes the heart pump harder and faster to send out more blood, which travels from the arteries to the arterioles to the capillaries, which feed the tissues. The arterioles are surrounded by smooth muscle that works like a valve, allowing more or less blood to flow. The arterioles in the leg muscles receive signals to open wider and provide more blood flow, while the arterioles to other organs, such as the gastrointestinal system, get the signal to close a bit and reduce the blood flow so more blood can be directed to the legs. This is why exercise sometimes causes stomach cramps. The increased activity of the leg muscles also causes a local buildup of CO2 and lactic acid, causing that thigh burn This prompts those arterioles to open even more, and the leg muscles get that extra blood they need to catch that bus.
The problems and solutions we've seen only scratch the surface of the complex, integrated systems required for our bodies to use oxygen.
This is what we're talking about. So what we see here is that every one of those problems leads to other problems that have to be solved. If any one of these problems is not solved, even for just a couple minutes, you're dead.
And that's just for respiration. There's thousands of other human functions that require a similar cascade of problems to solve.
The ways our bodies solve the challenges of using oxygen are eerily similar to the methods devised by human engineers to solve the problems they face. One method employed by human engineers are control systems. This one regulates the temperature in your home. It has 4 essential components. A sensor. Your thermostat recognizes a drop in temperature. Control logic. The control board determines the needed adjustment. Just-in-time signaling is supplied through a circuit. And what engineers call the effector is the furnace, which boosts the heat, usually without you even noticing it. Do we see this in the human body? Yes, in many places. For example, chemical sensors in the main arteries going to your brain monitor oxygen. Our control logic, in the brain, determines the needed adjustment. Just-in-time signaling is sent through our nerves. And the effector is supplied by the muscles of respiration. Again, without you even realizing it.
Human control systems are designed to be regulated with incredible precision, doing just the right things at just the right times in just the right amounts.
Another method used by human engineers is coherence, where each part of a system is designed to work with the whole. Each part is specialized, and then all the parts must be properly organized, integrated, and coordinated. And as we've seen in the human body, each of its coherent systems consists of the right size parts with the right shapes, made of the right materials, in the right places, coordinated just right to perform the right functions in the right order and at just the right times.
We've also seen many kinds of interdependencies, systems that cannot do their job unless other systems are also in place and doing their jobs. We can't oxygenate ourselves unless these 6 systems are in full operation.
Full operation, integrated, working together, incredible. What a designer we have. So there's that biochemical pathways chart. So what system are we representing here? The respiratory system. What system here? Circulatory system. What system here? Digestive system. All working together. And if you don't have a skeleton, you don't stand up, you don't sit. You're kind of like a jellyfish. Yeah. And then the muscular system. And none of it works without the nervous system. So what are those 4 parts? Upper left is what? Nervous system, the brain. Upper right, alveoli in the respiratory system. Bottom left, circulatory system. Bottom right, spaghetti. No, probably the skeletal system. And I don't think this picture has shown up yet. Was that in the video yet? Okay, let me get to that part in the video because it's kind of interesting.
But each of these systems are made of cells, and those cells require oxygen, which none of them can get unless all the systems are in place. So this is a chicken or egg problem. Which of these systems could possibly have come first while the body remained alive?
Coherence and interdependence present causal hurdles, problems that can only be solved when many concurrent problems and subproblems and sub-subproblems must be solved, all at pretty much the same time. How is it possible for these systems to exist in the human body? When we see these kinds of engineering approaches used in daily life, they point to a human engineer as the ultimate.
Is that an incredible structure? I will bet that if I gave you a question, that you would not be able to tell me where that building is.
Abu Dhabi.
What's that?
Abu Dhabi.
Not really close. I think. Well, I'll just give it to you because I need it.
Is that the actual building or is the photo?
Well, that's a photo of the building, a photo of the actual building. And that raises a good point. You've never seen yourself. You say, "Oh, I looked in the mirror." You're seeing a reflection of what's in the mirror.
The World Trade Center is actually built on that same principle they're using.
Is that right? That's the Evolution Tower, aptly named, in a communist country, Moscow, Russia. Okay. Back to it's cool when it works, except for the flashing up here.
Cause. Do similar engineering approaches in our bodies point to a cosmic engineer? We're left with two options.
Did the human body result from a long, long series of cosmic accidents? Or was the human body intended?
And given what we've seen, which option is most likely?
I think you'd agree with me, which is most likely. So, see if I can move on here. What does this have to do with anything? Which part of the mousetrap can be removed? The platform, the spring, the hammer, the catch, the holding bar? Which can be removed? And the answer is, all of them can be removed. Which part of the mousetrap can be removed so that it will still operate as a mousetrap? That's a different question, isn't it? All of them can be removed. And this is the idea of irreducible complexity. Michael Behe, some years ago, wrote the book, Darwin's Black Box. Everything has to work together. That's the idea. Everything must work together. This is from the video from the Heritage Foundation, which, believe it or not, I have a friend in Brownsburg. I know that's hard to believe. I have a friend in Brownsburg whose granddaughter is graduating from Cedarville in a week or two and will go to work for the Heritage Foundation. These are ID people. You and I would say, ID, okay, I agree with you on that parts, but they don't take it far enough, in my opinion. Just for you to believe in intelligent design, is that enough for you to have a relationship with the Creator? So, which system in the human body can be removed? The nervous system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the muscular system, and the skeletal system? Answer, none. You lose any of those or parts of any of them. You know, you can live without some things. To which I answer this: I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. And for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So far above us, the smartest person in the world doesn't even come close to our Creator, our wonderful Creator. Now, one of the things you can do as a teacher is, okay, we'll pick that up tomorrow, right? I left so many things on the table last week. I want to talk about a few of them if I can. And I think the pastor has agreed to give me another half hour. So to finish off, this was last week's class that I didn't get to. Methods to enhance Bible study. Now, Lori's going to tell us about the story of everything. You did get a microphone, right? Oh, when is that, the story of everything? April 30th through May 5th. And it's going to be at 5 o'clock. And it's going to be Wabash Landing. Okay? Thank you. Now, I have solved a lot of problems. You know, that's what you do as a father. You fix things. Dan the Fix-It Man. But this capsule coming back, you know, the one that just arrived, you know, they were worried. What were they worried about on re-entry? The heat. Well, I had that solved. That was like nothing. That's easy to take care of that.
Now just stay still. Don't move. Okay, now, does it hurt when I do this? A possible torn meniscus. Is there any pain when I do this? Oh, all right. You've dislocated your patella. I'm gonna have to set it. Hang on.
Okay. You are an orthopedic surgeon.
No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
So I'm not a Bible scholar, but I did stay at all. So I'd like to thank Bob, who suggested this AI a year and a half ago, and then my son, who encouraged me and at times bawled me out. So there's me when I was younger, there's me when I'm older.
Hello, I am Nicodemus.ai, the chatbot of ERF Bible Server. Feel free to ask me anything.
So I asked him, and he gave this, God is all-knowing, discernment is still needed, and so on and so forth. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. That's what I want you to do.
God gives tools to serve the church. AI is just another thing to test, and if useful, to use wisely. It's not a pastor, not the Holy Spirit, not a replacement for the Bible. It's more like a super fast concordance plus commentary, plus language helper, that still needs to be checked. Always check AI answers against Scripture itself.
Always.
Use it like you'd use a commentary, helpful, but not infallible.
So there's Isaiah 18. And usually Nicodemus will ask you a personal question when you're done. How does this promise that God's house is for all people challenge the way you view the church and its openness today? A personal question. Is there a particular verse in Isaiah 57 you'd like to dig into more deeply for your walk with God? I appreciate that about Nicodemus. However, I will say this. Ed and I sat down on Wednesday. He wanted a little work with Nicodemus. He's the one on the right. We sat down together to get some feel for how Nicodemus would help with an upcoming lesson. I'm going to let him share if he wants. And there I am. And I have to admit, I was disappointed with Nicodemus' answer. And I went to another AI, and it gave me the answer. Boom. I wanted. So, can you write me a simple HTML file that would allow a tic-tac-toe game? I mean, in 5 seconds with this code, and I had a tic-tac-toe game in 5 seconds. And my son goes, Dad, challenge it. Don't do a tic-tac-toe. Okay, I'll think of something. So, This is what I thought of. An interactive periodic chart. Make me an interactive periodic chart. Okay? Now, and you can put anything you wanted in there. So sodium, Na, and you can see the picture, the electron configuration, the abundance, the oxidation number, and so on. Now, do you know what B stands for? This element right here? Oh, this is Bob. There's a picture. There's the electron configuration, abundance, and oxidation number. Okay? Do you know what F stands for? No, stands for Floydium. Here's a picture. There's the electron configuration and so on. Do you know what P stands for? I can tell you guys would fail my chemistry test. This is Pruitt. Here's a picture. Abundance and so on. I mean, this was like, boom. I think I only had to do like 7 iterations and I had a working periodic table. My son, let me get rid of that and bring this back up. Well, I'll just tell you.
Sure.
There's my periodic table. Here's some of the things I've asked it over the year. Incredible. Fix our furnace, please. Brian is working on it. Brian is blind. He is programming a typing commander to teach people how to use their keyboards. It's not flashy because it's for blind people. He's got a Yahtzee game that he wrote for people. There it is. He's got an accessible golf machine. Oh, I was gonna mention this guy. I looked him up. Does he have an opera voice? And the fact is, he did. Very interesting. So, use it for daily things. Use it for Bible study. Check your results. We give glory to God for His incredible creation, and the human body is the pinnacle of His creation. And with that, I thank the pastor. I thank Willie for helping me. I thank my lovely assistant for giving me time. I can work on these lessons as long as I let her go shopping. So I am finished.
All right. Doug, do you mind closing us in word of prayer? Oh, yes.
We are overwhelmed by just a small fraction of seeing the glory of what you have done in this world. And in us, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we cannot even begin to understand your greatness and your glory, but we give you thanks. We give you thanks for Dan's teaching, and we just look forward to hearing your word coming up here soon, and give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.